Now the latest on the AI war, it's China versus the US. The Americans are accusing the Chinese of cheating. And leading the charge is Anthropic. It says Chinese AI firms are training on America's chatbots. Now Anthropic, as you know, is an American AI company. They have a chatbot called Claude. Anthropic says Claude may have been mined for intelligence. How? By being asked too many questions. Anthropic says Claude was asked questions more than 16 million times. By whom? China's top AI players, DeepSeek, MiniMax, and Moonshot AI. Anthropic says these firms created more than 24,000 fake accounts. They ran 16 million exchanges with Claude and used a technique called distillation. They used it to boost their own AI systems. And what exactly is distillation? Well, imagine there's an exam and you haven't studied for it. So you sit next to the smartest kid in class, you ask them thousands of questions, you copy their answers, and you write your paper based on those answers. That is basically how distillation in this context works. In AI terms, it would mean something like this. A powerful AI model generates answers. A smaller or less capable model studies those answers, and over time, it learns to mimic the powerful model's behavior. But here's the twist. Distillation per se is not illegal. In fact, it's quite common. Companies use it internally all the time. They use it to make cheaper, faster versions of their own models. The problem arises when someone else does it. When you use some other company's model to train your own AI, that is problematic, and that is what Anthropic says Chinese companies are doing. They're using distillation to learn from Claude. Anthropic says DeepSeek ran around 150,000 exchanges. These were aimed at improving logic and alignment and learning how to handle sensitive topics. Moonshot AI ran around 3.4 million exchanges. These were about advanced reasoning. But the worst culprit apparently was MiniMax. It ran the largest operation with 13 million exchanges. 13 million. They were heavily focused on coding. And this is a big accusation because Claude is not even available in China. So how are Chinese companies using it? Anthropic says they're doing it through proxy servers. Also, this is not the first complaint of its kind. OpenAI said the same thing last year. It said DeepSeek and others were using distillation to mimic ChatGPT. And this is not just about copying. The American firms say that there's a bigger issue here. Safety guardrails. US AI companies build safety guardrails into their systems. That's what they say. They build these guardrails to prevent misuse, to prevent things like cyber attacks or malicious automation. But if a competitor distills its systems, those guardrails are missing. So you have powerful systems, but they are stripped of safety layers. Again, this is the accusation made by Anthropic. It is only one side of the story. The Chinese companies have not responded, neither has Beijing. Now, we won't put it past China or its companies to copy others. It's their whole business model after all. Copy and make it cheaper. That's what China does. But I must add here that US companies should be the last ones to talk about ethics. They use vast troves of data to train their models. They use data that they have no rights over. And look at Anthropic in particular. They've been using copyrighted content illegally. Last year, they settled a lawsuit for this. A $1.5 billion lawsuit for wrongly using copyrighted content. So this lecture on copying is a bit rich coming from them. Elon Musk chimed into this debate. He accused Anthropic of stealing data regularly. So long story short, Anthropic is no saint. But where does that leave China? Are they really stealing AI? Now, the thing is, distillation is a common practice, like I said. It may violate terms of service, but does it legally qualify as theft? That is not clear. I guess it depends on how courts and regulators interpret it. And frankly, this debate is not about distillation. It's about the control of AI. Who controls the most powerful technology of our times? The US has been leading this race, but China is fast catching up. And Washington wants to prevent that. So they block chips, they control exports, and they accuse the other side of cheating. These are the first skirmishes of an AI Cold War, because in this race, Whoever trains faster, whoever scales faster and controls the guardrails will write the rules for the future.
Power doesn't end quietly. Some deaths are not accidents. They are messages. A gunshot. A crowd. A country frozen. The killer disappears. The questions don't. This is not just about who died. It's about what followed. Governments fell. Armies moved. History rewrote itself. 5 leaders. 5 moments. One pattern. The assassination.